Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. Happy New Year, new week, new show. We've got some girls hockey coverage tonight. We've got a huge Section 7 AA matchup we're going to preview, and we're going to give you some of our surprise players of the year. Before we get to that, we want to thank our friends over at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. Make plans today to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino on beautiful Lake Vermilion. Fortune Bay has 172 rooms in a smoke-free environment, indoor pool, full-service marina, RV park, world-class golf, several dining options, bar, and 24/7 gaming, Visit fortunebay.com right now for details and plan your trip to Fortune Bay today. Episode 74, it is Puka speaking, is the star of the show, Reed Larson. Happy New Year. How's she go?
It's going. It's the dog days.
It's
right now. It's the dog days of January. As you can tell, I'm still sporting my chipped tooth. It's the dog days. Still got a little sniffle right now. We've been battling all the different crud that's been going through, a little sniffle, but it's dog days. It's to be expected.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We had we're 7 weeks in, by the way, to the high school hockey season, boys high school hockey season. We have
that many weeks in already?
7 weeks in.
Holy cow, time flies when you're having fun.
We're keeping it real. So if you can do us a favor, smack the like button right away here as we get going. Few more subscribers to America's fastest growing hockey podcast. Jim Hillman, Heidi Hillman, Paula Hurt, Alan Peterson, and Rick Kruger. So be just like them and subscribe or follow today based on whatever medium you're consuming us with. So new year, how's practice today? Do you feel like dog days?
It feels like the dog days a little bit. I think the old Thunderhawks are ready to play a game. It's been a long time since they've been on the ice against the game. The last time that Grand Rapids played a game was Minnetonka on December 21st or whatever it was.
Right.
So that's a long time, a long stretch, a lot of practices, a lot of beating each other up. I think it's time to play a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
And we'll get to that game.
Yeah, we'll get to that game. So people are getting antsy, and that was a lot of teams over the holidays here. All right. So we typically have a game of the week, but we're going to get into something a little bit different. We'll do a little preview of the LSC. And this is brought to you by the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, just down from the US Hockey Hall of Fame. Remember, use your gift cards. We pumped the gift cards there for about a month. You got a great deal. So now's the time to use those gift cards at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill. Breakfast, full bar, full menu, Friday fish fry, which is obviously my favorite. I've said that for many years. Daily specials, hockey themed environment, 248-8582. Give them a call to order in advance, or the rinksportsbarandgrill.com to order. Michelle take good care of you. And of course, the breakout rooms, the team banquet stuff coming up, keep them in mind for that. All right. A couple of things. So we're going to get into kind of our surprise player of the year. We previewed some people in our preview show earlier in the year, kind of threw out some names. So now we'll call it halfway through the season. So Reed, who is up here in the Northland, your surprise player of the year thus far?
Now, I'm going to go with an area that I'm quite familiar with, that I used to coach at in the Virginia, Eveleth, Mesabi East, Gilbert, Mountain Iron area. I'm going to talk about Rock Ridge.
It's a big area.
Yeah, it's a lot of combinations here now. It used to be just Virginia MIB back when I was there, but now there's an addition of a lot of different things. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Rock Ridge. My biggest surprise right now, and I guess it's no surprise because the player I'm going to talk about is a skilled player. I've always known that about him. But I didn't realize that this season was the breakout year, senior year. 8 games he's played. Now, Rock Ridge has played 10, but was out for 2 games because I believe he was sick. Casey Lampa has 20 points in 8 games.
That's impressive.
He's got 14 points or 14 goals and 6 assists. That's my surprise player of the year. Not surprised that he's on the top line. Not surprised that he's one of the top point getters on the team. But 20 goals in 8 games, or 20 points in 8 games, and a big part of that offense on the first line for the Rock Ridge Wolverines. He's my player. But my biggest surprise player right now.
All right. I'm going also with the green over there on the eastern side of the range. And it's Ryan Rothbork, the goaltender. We've talked a little bit about him. 1.87 goals against average, 0.926 save percentage. Like I said, they're just between Lampa, him, of course, the whole team, but they just keep winning games. Now, they had that tie against Delano over the break here, but I would kind of say even just that whole record, a little bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, 8-1-1. It doesn't surprise me that they've got a lot more wins than they do losses because of the schedule that we're married to for at least the time frame. The good news for Rockridge here in the coming years is they're going to be joining the conferences. We're going to be talking about that. They're going to be joining the LSC, which means some of the teams they've been wanting to get on to their schedule, they'll get a chance to get on their schedule because of conference lockups. You have to do certain things when you're part of the conference, and it sounds to me like Rockridge is going to be joining the Lake Superior Conference. So that should change a few things for their schedule. But it doesn't surprise me that they got way more wins. The schedule isn't as intense as it could be, but hey, you still got to win the games you play. And 8-1-1 right now is a pretty darn good record going into the second half of the year. They're going to start seeing some teams here down the stretch. They're going to see the Duluth Easts here down the stretch. They've been on their schedule. Tomorrow night, you're going to see they're playing Hermantown tomorrow night at home. That's going to be a tale that is going to tell a lot of things, how they compare to some of the teams that are common opponents with Hermantown. So.
All right, and we were talking a little bit about the LSC. So I was taking a look. So LSC team members on boys hockey side: Rapids, Hermantown, Denfeld, Cloquet-Esco Carleton, Chisholm-Hibbing, Duluth Marshall, and Proctor. As it stands right now, not necessarily conference records, but overall records, everyone's got a winning record. Or did I mention Duluth Marshall? I think I might have forgot them, but even Duluth Marshall, 6-4, Proctor, 9-6 after last night. I mean, everybody's got a winning record. It's just interesting, not just who wins this conference, but man, who's even going to get second? This thing's wide open.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's the parity right now going through the conference has been as good as it's ever been in the Lake Superior Conference. In the last couple of years, last few years, the Lake Superior Conference has gone to Hermantown. They've dominated it.
Right.
This year they're as human as anybody else is in the conference, and it's kind of a battle right now. Rapids is 3-0 in the conference, 6-5 overall record. Hermantown is 2-0. They're going to be playing some more conference teams coming up here in the future. They still get to match up with Rapids, last regular season game of the year. Denfeld is 2-1 in the conference. You got CEC is 2-2. They're going to start matching up with other teams in the conference here coming down the stretch here. In a couple of weeks, you're going to see them against Grand Rapids. That's going to be a -9 game. And Duluth Marshall. They're 0-2 in the conference, but they still have a winning record, 6-4.
Yeah,
so
that's I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's pretty cool to say that now that this conference has expanded, added more teams to it, it did actually absorb a lot of the Iron Range Conference teams, the Virginias, the Eveleths, now Rockridge. They're going to be joining the conference next year. Hibbing's been in the conference the last couple of years. Grand Rapids has been in the conference the last couple of years. These were former Iron Range Conference teams. Right now, the Iron Range Conference consists of Greenway, Rockridge, currently International Falls, and North Shore.
Sure, that's it. Yeah,
That's it. There's 4 teams in it.
Yeah, and by the way, we were going to cover that, but just due to lack of games, most teams have played just 2 games, so there's really nothing to talk about at this point. So
it's really being absorbed by the Lake Superior Conference, which is making Lake Superior Conference a better conference.
Right. So, like I said, Hermantown's going to dominate the conference. You taking the over or under on Hermantown winning the conference again here in 23-24?
I've always been a little bit on the side of over-unders where I'm just going to tell you what I think. I don't know if I can really vote an over-under on it, but what I'm going to tell you is I think that there's a better chance that Hermantown doesn't win the conference this year.
Okay, well, I would agree. I'd agree. So like I said,
however that works with over-under, you tell me, am I taking the over or the under on Hermantown? How does that work? Explain it to me.
I think you're taking a slight under.
A slight under. Okay,
yeah.
so I'll take the under. I don't think Hermantown wins the conference this year. I don't. I think there's other teams that are gonna push for that.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Like I said, it was just some data.
I'm not gonna predict who the team is that's gonna beat them, but I think there's gonna be other teams that are gonna get it.
And just as hard is would even be the runner-up. Like I said, it's just so wide open, as we're halfway through the season here. There's just,
as I do like the idea of giving people credit for being close, but no cigar, so to speak, figuratively speaking. Coming from a coach and a competitor,
who cares?
Second place doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's the team that wins it that matters.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. And another thing I came across as I was, gathering some data for the show here, We don't talk a lot about the girls hockey. I think it's more of a time thing. So I've had people ask, we don't cover girls hockey. It's kind of more of a time thing. You're spending a lot of time coaching. I'm spending a lot of time consuming games, streaming, and there's just only so much time in a day. But I did have some cool tidbits from some people up in the Northland here. So on the girls' side, Duluth Marshall's senior, I think it's Elsa Lindemann. She has 36 tucks to lead the state. So congratulations. That's a pretty cool stat. Rock Ridge's junior, Natalie Bergman. She's third in goals. She has 26 Genos this year, and she's tied for 9th in points at 33. And the Thunderhawks' very own junior, Mercury Bishop. She's tied for 5th in goals at 23 goals, and she's tied in the 7th in the state in points at 37. So just kind of want to highlight those girls, but like I said, we don't probably catch it as much. And of course, you were so involved. When were you the girls coach? 3 years?
I was assistant coach in 1920.
Okay.
That was the year that we made it through the girls state tournament that year, but then the things started getting shut down into the youth season with COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
The youth state tournament got shut down.
Right. Okay. So congratulations to you ladies, and keep it going. All right. Smash the thumbs up button if you can for us right now. So we'll get into the previews. Our previews are presented by Iron Range Apparel, our friends over there at the Thunderbird Mall in Virginia. The ODR line, that's where you get all of your ODR apparel. So youth hockey, high school hockey, girls hockey, playoffs, state tournaments are coming. You want to look cool at the rink. So you want to get over to Iron Range Apparel to get your ODR line. It's coolest stuff. Like, so you want to look good at the rink. So visit the Thunderbird Mall, Iron Ridge Apparel today. Okay, tomorrow night, a lot of games on the docket now. Tomorrow night, kids back to school yesterday. A lot of Thursday games. Big Section 7 AA matchup right here at Yanmar Arena in Grand Rapids. Duluth East comes to town. Obviously, you guys had the victory, about a month ago, I'd say, huh? Roughly.
That second game of the season, that was November 29th, whatever it was, 28th, right in that ballpark. Second game of the season, that was a 2-1 win for the Thunderhawks in overtime. And there's been a lot that's taken place since that game. There's been some games for the Thunderhawks where they've made some steps in the right direction. There have been a couple of disappointing losses that have come down the wire.
And specifically that Forest Lake.
Yep, the Forest Lake game. And we'll talk about how seeding works with things like that, and what potentially could be expected, and what the gravity of this game is tomorrow night for both teams. So at this point in the season, we talked about when we were going through the Lake Superior Conference stats, Grand Rapids currently is 6-5 on the season. Okay, they're just a tick over 500. At this point in the season, Duluth East is 3-8-1. You know what? If you're a fan of either side, I wouldn't even look at those records at the moment. Quite honestly, when these two teams play, it's bad blood. The Thunderhawks look at Duluth East Greyhounds and think this team has been our nemesis for decades. They're the reason why Grand Rapids has been out of the state tournament so many times in the last 20 years. Yep. It's bad blood. Duluth East, there are times where they've dominated and they've had great seasons, and Rapids had chipped them out for the chance to go to the state tournament, like 2016 and 2017, like 06 and 07. These were times. So there's bad blood between these teams, and it's really come down to these two teams for a lot of years. It's just been recent history that Andover has been at the top of probably the last 5 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, so this game actually matters a lot. Grand Rapids got the win the first time around. That gives them the edge, but Rapids kind of slipped up the next week and lost to a team. Honestly, they shouldn't have lost to, but credit to Forest Lake, they got the win. Forest Lake beat Grand Rapids early in the season. Duluth East played Forest Lake, beat Forest Lake. If Grand Rapids wants the opportunity to get a higher seed than Duluth East, they're going to have to sweep the series and hopefully nullify that loss that they had to Forest Lake early in the season.
Sure.
Duluth East needs this win. If they want to get a sniff in the top 4, they need it. If they don't get the win tomorrow night over Grand Rapids, then Duluth East is out of the equation when it comes to being seeded anywhere in the top 4.
So top 4 in your mind is?
Well,
right now, or sitting currently?
I'm gonna sway away from even saying who the top seeds are at the moment, because you really can't get into the conversation until there's some arguments about how you're going to bring Rock Ridge into the conversation.
Right.
They haven't played common opponents yet.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say. Andover probably sits at the 1 currently, but I don't know who to put at 2. I don't know if you put Rapids or Rock Ridge or Duluth East or, Marshall or Forest Lake or Denfeld. I mean, these are teams
Forest
that
Lake.
are going to be in the conversation depending on how the next month here goes, or the next 3 weeks, I should say. All I can tell you is if Grand Rapids gets the win over Duluth East tomorrow night, it pretty much takes Duluth East out of the equation.
Okay.
At least for the top 4
Yep.
anyways.
So-
And it gives Grand Rapids a good argument of being in the top 3 seeds.
Okay, so that's what we said. Big Section 7 AA matchup at Yanmar. Get out to the rink here tomorrow night. Anything else on that?
No, the only other thing I can say is that if you're out and about and you're anywhere within a short driving distance of Yanmar Arena tomorrow night, that's going to be a hot ticket. Grand Rapids hasn't been in town here for quite some time. Their last home game was December 6th against Proctor. They haven't played since then at home. So it's been almost a month since we've been in our home building. The Yanmar Arena is going to have people hanging from the rafters.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be 3,000-4,000 people at that game, and it's a big rivalry game. It's going to have some excitement. If you're anywhere and you can get your hands on a ticket to that game, I'd be there if I were you.
All right, looking forward to it. And also, like you said, you also said, so Hermantown making the trip up to the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. That's a big one, not, just for seating's sake and
Common
like I said,
opponents
common
is
opponent,
what
yeah.
Rockridge is looking at right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, they went into the section late at the end of the year. If they could section at the section and at the same time teams are starting to put their schedule together. Rockridge got bumped in at the end of March or beginning of April, AA, when everybody's schedule was already done, right? So they have to start getting the wins over common opponents, teams that Grand Rapids plays and teams that Rock Ridge plays, teams that Forest Lake plays and teams that Rock Ridge plays. And, they do play Denfeld, they do play Duluth East. I guess the biggest question in those top 5 teams that are there that don't play Rock Ridge is Grand Rapids currently.
Yeah, right.
So this is a big seeding game for Section 7 AA for Rock Ridge because Hermantown is one of the common opponents.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be a real measuring stick. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about what happened here last night over in Proctor.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
We'll get to that here when we
Oh.
talk about that part of it here. But yeah, it's that game in there is big. There's maybe some speculation that, geez, Rock Ridge, they jumped up a little soon. This is a year where Hermantown has been as human as they've ever been, and probably a real good chance that if Rock Ridge stayed single A, they'd probably be a state tournament team, almost a shoe-in to a state tournament team. But guess what? They made the move. Credit to those guys to go AA because we kicked a couple of city teams out that shouldn't be in Section 7 anyways. Welcome to AA. But they do have to look at those common opponents. This is a big common opponent game for them.
All right. Great preview. All right. And also Green is going to run over the Memorial Building and take on the Chisholm Hickman Blue Jackets. All right. Scores and more presented by our friends over at Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer. And Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction, residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are, of course, licensed and bonded. Give Justin a call, 218-999-5957, 218-999-5957. And I see the weather like we get through the weekend here, and we're finally going to dip. We're going to dip like zero.
Gonna get cold.
Some negatives. Yeah, we'll get some
Okay,
negatives.
okay.
The wind picks up. We might be 20 below. So if the furnace isn't working right, these are people you call. Remember, Aspire Heating and Control, 999-5957.
I got to back up for a second because you baited me a little bit. Going back to a game that took place just last night. We had a My9 production here last night that we made the trip over. Bob and I made the trip over to Proctor, to the St. Luke's Sports and Event Center, the beautiful newish facility. I got to call a game last night of an age-old rivalry game that not many people expected to be as close of a game as it was. However, I did expect it to be that close. I knew it was going to be that close. I talked about it. I mentioned it in the pregame before the game. Hermantown made the trip over to play at the St. Luke's Sports and Event Center against Proctor, and it didn't disappoint. It was a game that did not disappoint. In fact, 0-0 after the first period. First period, the shots were 16-2 Hermantown. AJ Riles was in the nets between the pipes.
He's back and healthy. It's good to hear.
He back in kind of healthy.
Okay.
I mean, he had started his games playing back in the season, into the season on December 14th, and he had played, well, 5 games in a row, back to back to back, and then three games back to back to back, 3 days in a row over the Christmas tournament. And I think, not necessarily in quite yet body ready to play that many games right in a row, maybe a little bit fatigued, and then comes back in and plays last night against the biggest rival game that they play.
Yeah.
And you talk to anybody from Proctor or talk to anybody from Hermantown, that's the game that either side wants to win. Doesn't matter, how good or how bad either team is. That game you want to win no matter what. So, like I said, after the first period, 16-2 in shots, Hermantown favored in shots. But a lot of those shots were from the perimeter. They got to the grade A scoring opportunities maybe 3 or 4 times, and AJ Riles made the save look as easy as it, like someone was just flipping the puck at him. Second period, shots kind of picked up a little bit. I don't have it in my head as to what it got to in the second period, but obviously they were lopsided. Still 0-0 after the second period.
Jeez. Okay.
Okay, and then in the third period, as we were talking about it during the period break, Bob and I were going over, he's like, what is it going to take for Hermantown to score on this goalie? And I mentioned it, I don't know how many times during the game. Hermantown's got some skill, they got some poise, they got some rush up the ice with speed, but all their shots were coming from the outside, exterior, perimeter shots outside the dots. Nobody's getting in front of the goalie, nobody's getting on top of the goalie. A lot of the stuff that I talked about in between whistles and in between the period is you're not the type of people that want to condone getting on top of the goalie, but if you're a coach, you know what I'm talking about. You have to go to the net with force. And I mentioned this on that last night too, that this is kind of an old coach that goes way back. I don't know if you guys remember, Tony Sarsland used to be the coach of the Elk River Elks back in the day, Tony Sarsland. And he used to coach his teams pretty hard nose, like you go to the net hard. You're not going to the net hard enough unless you've knocked the net off its moorings 6 times at least a game.
Oh, jeez.
So I mentioned that a couple of times, like, hey, we're not saying that you need to kill the goalie. That's not the purpose, but you need to go to the net with force. And they weren't getting to the net. Well, finally, there was one guy that actually went to the net and knocked the net off and started to ravel it up a little bit, and that was needed. It needed to get juggled a little bit from the Hermantown side of things. The goal that they actually scored, Johnson actually scored that goal. He was the third guy coming in. First guy rams wide to the net. Second guy goes to the goalie. Third guy picks up 3 guys hard to the net. Rebound sitting there, banged it in. That was the one they scored in the third period. Okay. Other end of the rink, you got Proctor. They're on the power play. They had 2 power plays. They were 50% on the night. Austin Bryant, nice little shot from the dot. I would imagine at this point in time, I think there was maybe about 8 or 9 shots on Dane Calloway. He probably wasn't seeing a lot. When you're not seeing a lot of shots like that, you're not warmed up. You're not in a rhythm. Right over his shoulder, boom, tied 1-1. They score on the power play. Then it goes through the rest of the third period. Hermantown's starting to pick it up. They figured it out. I don't know if somebody heard me talking about it up there or not, but they knocked the net off about 3 or 4 times. Riles got landed on a couple of times and he was stung a little bit, like he was hurting. Get into the third period. They make a goal mouth pass on the power play. And actually that happened in the second period. He was stung in the second period. Okay. They're on the power play. It goes from one side to the other, across down to Esterbrooks, and he takes a one-timer on the power play. And you had to see Riles go from pipe to pipe, slide across, and you could tell he tweaked something. He wasn't feeling very good. And he battled through it the rest of the game. He actually got landed on later in the third period. Took his helmet off, kind of adjusted, took a couple minutes of rest there to try and get his bearings. Sure. And then it eventually goes into overtime. But you can tell in overtime that AJ was a little stung. And they come down on a rush, and it's Drew Nelson that shoots it. And actually it was a perimeter shot. He shot it from outside the dot. Right at the 5-hole, and you could tell because of the injury, the pain that Riles was dealing with, he couldn't get the 5-hole closed up in time, and it was boom, just like that. Okay. AJ Riles ended the game with 46 saves.
Impressive.
46 for 48. I think it was 14 for 15 or something like that shots for Dane Calloway.
Okay.
So
a great matchup.
yeah, real good matchup. And there's a lot of people. This was a piece of information that I was trying to get out there with people that were watching the stream last night. Said, hey, if anybody knows this, please send this to me in a text message or in a Twitter. I'm trying to find this out. When was the last time Proctor actually beat Hermantown? And I got a couple of texts back from people. Actually, it had been 25 years.
Holy cow.
January of 99 was the last time, from what I got from people. I don't know this to be 100% true, but I think it probably was. This was like the Jay Dardis era.
Yep.
This was the last time that actually Proctor had beat Hermantown. And I was confused because I thought, oh, maybe the 99 team was the Proctor team that went to state tournament. It was actually 2 years before the 97 team. Steve Rodberg, Terry Dunbar was on that team. Ryan View was on that team. That was a Proctor team that went, but they still had a lot going for another couple of years with Jay Dardis in that lineup in Don Tallarico.
Wow. Interesting. All
Yeah.
right. So a great
Long
matchup.
time.
Yeah. Great matchup.
They gave it a chance,
Yeah.
but you know, and what a game. Hermantown deserved to win it. They were plastering pucks on there all night long, but you got to give a lot of credit to that Proctor team. They played hard.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, winning record. So we'll see. Unfortunately, I don't, they meet again? Do you know?
I do not think they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get back to scores and more. Thunderhawks own Justin Kerr in the news.
JJ just commits yesterday. He's been down in Lone Star playing in the North American League for the Brahmas. Last year was at Car Shield playing the midget AAA. Gets the call up, playing in the North American League this year, having a good year. Commits to Bowling Green yesterday. Congratulations, JJ.
Congrats. Yeah.
Another one from that 2022 graduating class at Grand Rapids. There's 5 of them right now, or 6 of them that are committed.
Yeah. Well, you had said when Morquay committed, you
Morquay.
said there are more. You said so.
There's
stay
more
tuned.
coming, and there's still more coming. I'm not going to say who, but there's still more that are going to be committing here shortly
All right.
from
Awesome.
that group.
Congratulations, Mr. Kerr. All right, some scores and more from the week that was. Bemidji dropped by East Grand Forks 5-4. I watched some of that game in overtime. That was a hard-fought contest out in East Grand Forks. Warroad earlier in the week, a 4-3 win over East Grand Forks. Ely, another win, 3-2 over Moose Lake. Roseau beat up on Minot 7-1. Denfeld, 4-3 winners over Cloquet last week. They were champs of their own Heritage Hockey Classic. Cloquet in a single A top 10 game. They were victorious over Cathedral, 3-2.
That's a big win for them.
Yeah. Here's more OT stuff. Greenway, 1-1 final OT with North Shore. We talked about the Proctor Hermantown game. Brainerd winners over Buffalo 4-1. Duluth Marshall, 6-2 winners over Worthington. I Falls loses to Bismarck Century, 7-rip. Duluth East, overtime tie to Blaine, 4-4. So there's another Section 7A.
Yeah, that
game.
was another one
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Rock Ridge, tie to Delano.
Well, actually, that Blaine isn't in Section 7 anymore. They got moved out of the
moved in.
section when we got Rockridge in and Denfeld in. They got bumped out. and went
Oh,
into
they're one of the
Section
teams.
5.
Okay.
But that is a game, though, that is that's a game Duluth East should win. And it sounded like that Blaine ended up with a hot goalie that night as well, too. And then Duluth East struggled scoring. They actually were down. Duluth East was down 4-3 and ended up tying it up late in the game.
Okay.
I think they tied it up on a penalty shot. Correct
Really?
me if I'm wrong. If you're listening
Yeah,
and you're
something from the
in East Bend, I think I heard that Noah Tang scored a penalty shot to tie it late in the game.
Okay. So yeah, lot of close games over the break here. Chisholm, Chisholm Hibbing, 3-1 winners over Two Rivers. And of course, the Walleye Scott CFP Dinah Hornets update. Another win, 2-1 over Cretin. I think they're sitting at 7-1-1, I think is what I saw for Edina. So doing pretty well. All right. Anything to add to episode 74?
Nope.
All right. Just a quick happy birthday. The Tea with Ms McGill show will complete year 3, start year 4 on Saturday, our first show.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago already. So
Wow, we started it during that late start season because we didn't start till mid-January with the season there because of COVID and whatnot. And
yep. Yeah, it was
Wow.
January 21. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So happy birthday to with Ms. McGill. We appreciate everyone that's, supported us. Of course, all of our partners, all of our subscribers, all of our loyal listeners. We just want you to know, we do appreciate it. It's a fun little project for us. Like I said, supporting us, it means the world to us. So, tell your friends and family, and we'll keep going. All right. Please comment. If you'd like to contact us, Goatsportsmediallc@gmail.com. Of course, like and follow. We appreciate that. Tea with Ms. McGill on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Musi app. T McGill on X or Twitter. And on Facebook and YouTube, you can find us at Goat Sports Media LLC. Merch is always in the back, $20 for a tee. It just ships them out to Montana over the weekend. So thank you for that. As always, a big thank you to the greatest sponsors and partners on earth, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel and ODR Apparel, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Aspire Heating and Control, Iron Range Goalie Academy, and Team Minnesota Hockey. For Ray Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill Show.